Thanksgiving tomorrow. I'm glad we have Thanksgiving, and I look forward to church tonight. No 3:30 Bible study today, so no afternoon Bible study. We're all going to try and get everybody into church tonight and have our evening 7 o'clock Bible study just for a time of thanks, and it's going to be enjoyable. We're going to laugh, and but we're going to have some tender moments of gratitude for how good God is. But just thinking about how money moves the world. A lot of marketing around Halloween. People, candies and skeletons and pumpkins and all that stuff. And then the retail market shifts straight into Christmas decorations and dead people Christmas and Santa Claus and it's pretty rare you find a manger scene or anything about really what Christmas is really supposed to be about. But Christmas and they leave out Thanksgiving. Hardly any marketing around Thanksgiving. And that's not the issue. But to me, the thing I love about Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving means I need to give thanks. What am I giving thanks for? Well, for everything. And who am I giving thanks to? To God. I'm thankful to Almighty God. And I know that there's people in poor parts of the world, they can be thankful that there's a heaven, that there's a Savior, that there's a Bible, that there's a God who loves them. But as Americans, we can add a whole lot. Just thankful. Look at the office I have and the devices I have and air conditioning and heating and cars and houses and pillows. We all got our pillow. I got my pillow with and my blanket, sheet, mattress, my towel, whatever it might be. We are so spoiled. Could we just stop and say thank you? Just thank you, thank you, thank you. And I like Thanksgiving. I think we ought to say thank you to God. And I don't mean just at a dinner table while the gravy's getting cold. My thinking is at dinner table, eat. I like my food hot. And there's a time in our marriage when we get the plates out on the table, and I'd go take mine to the microwave, and that was almost an insult to my wife. And then she caught on, so she would start taking my food at the last minute, put it in the microwave, and I don't want to be a pain. And so I just decided whatever temperature it is when I get it, I want to be thankful for it. But let's don't on purpose let the food get cold. And but gratitude, oh, how we have so much to be thankful for. And what I love is that the world doesn't know who to be thankful to. Lost people don't know who to express their gratitude. They can thank their wife, their husband, their parents, their whoever, thank their boss. There's people on earth that we can be grateful for and grateful to. We should express our gratitude. You that have a job, you probably have no clue how much pressure is on your employer to keep your job. And we ought to, as employees, we ought to work very hard to make sure we make the boss or the company the money that we're getting out of it. That business isn't there so you can have a job. That business is there to make money. And if you do the drive-through window at Starbucks or Taco Bell, you ought to be producing product and money and cash flow. And your boss ought to be making money because you're there, because you're costing them money. This me selfish generation is crazy. But I like Thanksgiving because it reminds us to be grateful, and because it reminds the world they don't know who to be grateful to. Now, if they get around us in our church, we're going to tell them, you ungrateful people who breathe His air. He has your brain waves work, and your eyes work, your ears work, your lungs work, your circulatory system. How good has God been to you? Could you just say thank you? Could you thank Him for taste buds? That you can taste chocolate ice cream. I just think that's a great taste. Thank you. And I like Thanksgiving because it helps us. It reminds us to be grateful. And secondly, it reminds the lost world there is somebody they ought to be grateful to. Hey, this morning, I just want to take a moment and talk about something with the holidays. Now, holidays can become a time of conflict because here we're looking for a present for Aunt Gertrude. And I think, well, that'd be a good thing for Aunt Gertrude. And my wife says, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, now what she just said is, your idea is not a good idea. And I don't do real well with that. I'm just being honest. What makes you so much smarter than me about Aunt Gertrude? And I think it's typically smart for, you got to, well, that's what we're going to talk about here. You ought to figure out how to divide these duties up. I know more what to get the men than my wife does. And my wife probably knows more about what to get ladies than I do, probably. Children, when did your spouse become an idiot that you're the only one who knows what that child would like as a present? When did you get this deep perception that you not only know what's best for the 2-year-old, but you know what's best for the 10-year-old, and you know what's best for the 20-year-old, and you know what's best for Aunt Gertrude? How did you get so smart? Are you really that brilliant that you and your spouse can go shopping and your spouse doesn't have one good idea? They don't have one inroad mentally into good ideas of gifts? It's a shame. Now, I'll tell you what happens. Dinner, Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. Man, I like turkey. I like dark meat. I wish they'd make a turkey all dark meat. Well, they did. They called it a duck. Ducks are all dark meat. I like duck. Hardly ever get a duck. And I like lamb. Don't get lamb very often. But it's more moist. It's a more moist meat. It's a darker meat. And so I think, man, you know what? Turkey, Thanksgiving dinner, turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and sweet potatoes that you put butter and brown sugar and marshmallows. Then you cook it long enough so the marshmallows are crunchy. And if you want something green, some green beans or something like that. That's a great dinner. Well, my wife says, Thanksgiving dinner, that ought to be a ham and scallop potatoes. I don't like scallop potatoes. I don't know what they do. How could you ruin a potato? How easy is it to cook a potato? Mash them, bake them, but scallop those. I don't even know what scallop is, but I know I don't. I've never liked scallop potatoes since I was a little kid. And so my wife wants ham and scallop potatoes and whatever salad. And I want turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and sweet potatoes. I want gravy over everything, over the turkey, over the sweet potatoes, the mashed potatoes. I want a soup bowl full of gravy we throw our meat and potatoes into. Well, now we're going to find out who gets who gets what they want at Thanksgiving dinner. And we have enough people going to be at our house tomorrow. I think, if I remember right, we've got ham and turkey and got a ribeye roast. I had to spend some money on that, a ribeye roast. And we got a big crowd comes. We got 3 kinds of meat, and I like all that. I like ham. I like turkey. I like roast. But I'm talking in a minute. I'm going to get there. Here's what happens when I think Uncle Joe could use a new pair of work gloves. And my wife says, "No, he's probably got a lot. Let's get him whatever, some other idea, an electric drill or something." And I think, well, I know Uncle Joe, and we can't afford the kind of electric drill he wants. And if you want to get him an electric drill, it's going to be a piece of junk that he isn't going to want, because he'll give it to Aunt Gertrude because it's a little cheapy thing. It's not going to handle the workload. But we differ. How about the Christmas tree? All right, here the Christmas tree. Well, how big a tree? How are we going to decorate it? My thought is, I'd like a big old tree all the way to the ceiling. And how are we going to decorate it? And to me, a tree is ours as a family. We're going to decorate this tree. Well, then to a lot of people, men or women, it's not a male-female thing, it's personality. They want everything perfectly balanced and exact. And how are we going to keep it perfect and exact all the way up to the top? And we differ on the Christmas tree, differ on the decoration, differ. So someone's putting up some lights. So, they need to be straighter. You need to be straight. Every light should have a nail in it so it's perfectly straight and held in the right. You ever see these houses? You wonder how in the world they get all the lights perfect. Not only are they straight, but they're hanging perfect or they're hanging out or whatever. They must have a special holder for each. And then somebody else that the lights are just draped all over and wrapped around a tree and over to the fence and over to the tree. And it's chaos. Well, I can tell you that in a lot of homes, there's some tension over the Christmas lights. There's tension over the tree. There's tension over the meal. There's tension over the gifts. Now, two things here. What makes one person so smart? That they know the best way to decorate, and they know the best way to cook, and they know the best way to buy gifts, and they absolutely know everything, except they know everything about the food and decoration and gift buying. How could someone that smart marry such an idiot? Because obviously they married an idiot because that person, they don't know what to buy or how to decorate or how to cook because their opinions are all thrown out the. I got an idea. That's a dumb idea. Well, how about this? That's a stupid idea. Well, how about this in the tree? No, we don't want a tree that big or we don't want a tree that small. We want to. Your spouse is not an idiot. If they are an idiot, you're an idiot because you married them. Now, let me give you a verse. When we start talking about holidays, a lot of the holiday tension is a product of absolute selfishness. I want it my way. Let me read you here in Philippians chapter 2. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. He goes a little bit further. About Jesus, he made himself of no reputation, took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of man. Philippians 2:3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, that each esteem other better than himself. You need to pick that spouse, that whatever in your relationship, maybe it's a job decision, make them better than you. Lift their opinion up. And I'm thinking mashed potatoes and gravy and sweet potatoes and turkey. And my wife says, what about ham and scalloped potatoes in the salad? And I lift her idea up and say, that would be a perfect Thanksgiving dinner. Now that's okay if it's my idea to pick hers. But when she throws my idea out the door as a stupid idea, we got a problem. Over in Romans chapter 15, you find a similar verse, Romans chapter 15. And again, I just want to tell you, you didn't marry an idiot. Romans 15, now the God of patience and consolation grant you to be like-minded one toward another, according to Christ Jesus. Do you know Jesus wants you to be like-minded? Paul told it, and he writes to one of the churches, and he says, he names two ladies, and he says, would you just be of the same mind? Would you two get along? I want to give you some thoughts. Ask yourself, who was the main person in deciding where you live, your house? Who was the main person in picking up the meal for Thanksgiving or Christmas? Who was the main person who makes the decision about gifts, gift buying? Who was the main person that picks, it's springtime, we're going to do some stuff in the yard. Who's the main person picking up the flowers or the grass or doing whatever it is? Who's the main person who makes the decision for the kids' clothing? Who's the person who makes the main decision about, it doesn't matter what church you attend, what car you buy. You're looking for bicycles, what bicycles? Now, let me ask you this. Unless you've got nail prints in your hand and you died on the cross after living a perfect life, I'm willing to guess your spouse knows more than you at least once in a while. The question is, when is the last time you lifted up your spouse's opinion? When's the last time you walked into a situation you had in your mind? Most of us are like that. We have an idea what we're thinking. We go into something, and your spouse says, hey, why don't we? And it's totally opposite of yours. And you said, that's a great idea. I wouldn't have thought of that because that's not me or it's not you. We wouldn't have thought of that. We say, what a good idea. I wouldn't have thought of that. If you don't think it's a good idea, then don't say it. Say, I wouldn't have thought of that. Yes, let's do it. You may think it's a stupid idea, but you can still do it. You can still lift up their idea. when it comes to buying a gift, what's more important, you and your spouse being close, or you getting your superior, all-knowing, divine knowledge to kick your spouse's thoughts out and you pick the gift? Whether it be a car, now like when we had our car, with my wife's car, she had a Chrysler 300 that she just wore out, and it was becoming a problem maintenance-wise. And so I took her around. What the smart thing that I did, we looked a little bit and talked, but I took her to CarMax because they got all the makes of cars. It's a used car lot. It's a giant used car lot. And walked around and walked around and walked around. And I had an idea. I thought with the grandkids and hauling people around and stuff, maybe one of these crossovers, maybe a smaller hatchback or something like that. That's what I was thinking would be good for her. And we're walking around, and she kept picking the four-door, the smaller four-door. She got an Avalon, and she started looking at cars like that, the Toyota, Honda, different cars like that. And so you know what? Drop the idea that I thought was a good idea. Drop it. Just drop that idea. And it's going to be her. She's the one that's going to drive it. And so we looked around, and she drove, I said, let's just drive whatever you like, what you're comfortable in. She's a lot shorter than me. Her car is not comfortable for me to drive. My head hits the ceiling. I can put the seat all the way down, put it all the way back. If I sit real careful, I don't hit the ceiling. But I got to bend my head just right to get it. It's her car. I want her comfortable in it. So she picked it out. Well, I've got to figure out how to pay for that thing. It's paid for. But I had to, I thought, well, now I'll go find the Avalon. And I went looking at car lots and went online. It was weeks looking here, looking there. When I had time, then I'd go online, and we were in Hemet looking at one together. I took her with me because she sees detail better than me. But we'd already settled on the Avalon, and I wanted as new a one, but not new, and as low a mileage, but not zero. I wanted a used car. I wanted that year, 2, 3 years off it. And we're in Hemet, and I'm looking online. I said, I found one that was in Pomona, which is an hour drive or so, maybe an hour, a little more than an hour. And I said, "Do you still have this car?" He said, "We do." I said, "Is this the actual price?" He says, "It is, and you better come fast if you're interested." Now, that might have been a salesman's pitch, but we looked at a lot of them, and it was a very good car for, I think it was 3 years old, had 13,000 miles or something. I don't know numbers exact, but it was very low mileage, just 2 or 3 years old. And so we drove in there, and we bought it there. Now, I had to figure out how to pay for it, so I wanted to pick which Avalon, but I wanted her to pick it out because there's a reason for those choices. But you know what? When it comes to dinner, there's no reason for dinner unless I want fried fish and no one else in the family likes fish. I want to encourage you. I don't know everything. Now, what happens in a marriage and in a lot of homes is one person keeps pushing their opinion and the other one just keeps saying, well, whatever you think, go ahead, whatever you'd like. What happens then is that person makes all the decisions. But I can tell you this, what's going to happen. This person drifts further. They're going to stop expressing their opinion. They're going to stop having it. They're going to get bitter at you eventually. And then every time, if they say something and you've gotten in the habit of making that you're the one, you're making the call. And what's going to happen now? They were doing it out of courtesy because they love you, and now they're going to say, go ahead and make the quick choice, but they're going to be mad at you. And they may not say anything, but there'll be that internal frustration. How come you're the one that's always right? How come you know everything? How did God anoint you that you know everything from which football to buy for the grandson to what doll to buy for the 2-year-old, and you know what dinner to pick, and you know what couch to get for the living room, and you know what kind of grass seed is better. And I just want to tell you, look not every man in his own things, but every man also in the things of others, in honor, preferring one another. There better be some times in your life when you prefer the other. I do it in my office. We need a copier. Our staff already knows, hey, what the girls here in the office, they use it more than me. You girls pick it out. The person that does finances, well, they got to make sure the budgeting will work. But the flooring that's in here, I didn't pick this flooring out. The person who did the flooring, and I have young people do decorating. I don't want old people decorating, because you know how we are. We're older people. We're content with anything. But could I encourage you? Think about others. Think about others. You don't know the most. Now, you may know more about computers than your spouse, but your spouse might know more about cars than you. You may know more about guns than you. You know, let's buy dad a gun. Dad says, let's buy dad a new gun. And you may be we don't want to do that. You know what? I believe that I'm not 100% right. So I want your opinion. And if you feel strongly about something, I want to back off, because there's a good chance you know more than me. And I want to encourage you, look, not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. If you'll do that, you'll have a happier Christmas and a happier Thanksgiving.